Join me every month for the inspiration to find your finish line. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first podcast of 2025 for Find Your Finish Line. I'm Mike Riley. Happy New Year to you, and I hope you all fulfill your dreams and find your individual finish lines this year. And don't be afraid to set the huge goals because they can only make you better. If you set those small, light goals, you won't get there. And everybody, thanks for tuning in all last year to my podcast. The numbers were fantastic and it proves to me I want to continue bringing you guests that can change your life and inspire you to get off your butts and get it done. My guest for the first guest of 2025 is someone I've admired since the very first time I met him at IRONMAN Lake Placid in 2005. He went 11 hours and 18 minutes at that race. But in December of 2005, had a horrific accident with a New York City transit bus, was crushed underneath that bus. But then again, I saw him in 2008. I knew part of his comeback story. I knew he had run the New York City marathon. So 3 years later, he was at the finish line in Lake Placid. And it was towards the end of the night. He grabbed me. He had this strong grip and he said, "Riley, I'm going to do this race next year. No matter what, I'm going to do this race." And this is while his other hand, in my recollection, was holding himself up on the damn fence. And I'm going, "Oh, okay, dude, that's fantastic. I hope to see you next year." Matt Long, welcome to Find Your Finish Line.
Mike, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Do you remember that moment? To me, it's like yesterday.
I do, Mike, and I think that I think the moment I told you that, one, I was holding onto the fence is correct, and my cane was leaning on the fence. I was still walking with a cane, and you were the first person I told. And the next morning, I got up to the school, was the cafeteria or the gymnasium right in the Oval.
Right.
And I signed up for 2009 right there.
That's just, I did you really think, Matt, at that time when you did that, you signed up, you thought you could do it? Because you had a lot of naysayers, especially when you started telling friends, "I signed up for Lake Placid." They're going, like, "Matt, what the hell are you, New York City Marathon is just, you got through that, but this is an Ironman," and you knew what an Ironman entailed. Did you, in your wildest dreams, think you could get it done?
Honestly, I'll say no. But Mike, with one thing the triathlon endurance sport taught me before the accident is you have to set a goal. And most people that do these sports are the same personality. They need that carrot as far out in front of them as they can to keep them pushing towards that line. So, hey, it started the day after that one, the motivation. If you remember, you let me pull the cannon. I started that race with you on Mirror Lake. So I was with you most of the day. And I just said, okay, I'm going to sign up because if the money's on the line and the goal is there, then I'm going to do everything I can to get to the finish.
And Matt, your carrot you're talking about, it wasn't an average carrot, buddy, because the collision you had, the catastrophic injuries, the multiple fractures, the damage to your organs, your pelvis, your leg, you were simply crushed and given a 4 or 5%. Some people say a 1% chance of survival, with all the surgeries and spending the months in the hospital and the crazy rehab. So your carrot was a little bigger than others. Did that, because you were an Ironman athlete, you were a great athlete, you were a great firefighter.
Thank you.
Did that background push you through that rehab? What pushed you through?
Well, it wasn't easy to, I don't want to make it sound like I woke up after being hit by the bus and after all those surgeries and said, okay, let's get to work. There was some dark times. And there was a significant moment with my mom that she made me realize that I wasn't the only one in the world going through a tough time. She put that out there to me and said, it's up to you now. And when that finally kicked in, Mike, I said to myself, I may not be able to do triathlon or run marathons anymore, but I'd be damned if I was going to let the bus take it away from me. I wanted to leave on my terms. So I checked the box in 2008, running a 7-hour and 21-minute marathon. You know, you could call that running. My arms were rolling faster than my legs. And I wanted to check the box of the Ironman too, you know. And not only that, Mike, but someone asked me, one of my naysayers, I remember said to me, said, okay, I get it. You're stubborn. You're going to try it. Why not go to Florida? Why not go to somewhere where it's flat? And I said, I thought about it for a second. I said, well, that wouldn't be very generous of me. You know, I did it in Placid. That's what I was, an IRONMAN Lake Placid finisher. And I wanted to go out an IRONMAN Lake Placid finisher. So I trained for the hills and I did the best I could. And,
you know, speaking of your mom, before you came in, I was standing next to her behind the finish line and saying things like, you know, he's going to make it. I think he's going to make it. And we're looking at the time, and that's after we sent your angel Heather Fuhr out there to get your butt and get you moving, because that's what you requested. We'll bring Heather Fuhr out here, the queen of Lake Placid. Maybe she'll help me come in. And there, as soon as we said that to her, Heather took off running because she raced that like it was amazing to me. I go, look at her go. She's going after Matt. But talking to your mom at the finish line, she wouldn't look. She was listening to me, but she just looked straight ahead for her boy. And it was one of the most touching moments I ever had at a finish line, not with a finisher, but with someone waiting for someone to come in. So thanks for mentioning your mom, because that was a special moment for me too. Yeah, you know, we talk about all the rehab and everything. And when people talk rehab, Maddie, they talk about all the physical things. But the mental side of it is the toughest. And every time I talk to someone that went through something like that, the physical injuries, while you cringe inside at how bad they were, the mental strain of that long recovery is the hardest to deal with. That was doubly hard for you, wasn't it?
It was. And the mental anguish that an individual puts themselves through when something so catastrophic happens, you know, and Mike, I'm grateful that I get to help others. You know, my story has helped others, and I'm grateful for that. But I tell you, you know, getting up in the morning when you were 178 pounds, nothing but lean muscle mass, running a 343 in my first Ironman. You know, I was finished in the top 300 in the marathon. And now I'm 120 pounds and I can barely stand up for 5 minutes. Every time, two questions come to mind. Why me? And is it worth it? And those battles that I had every day, why me? Why did I get hit? Not only why did I get hit, why did I live? And is it worth the pain and all the stuff I'm putting my body through now just so I can say, hey, have Mike Riley call me an Ironman one more time? And I'm glad I won those battles because they were tough.
Did you ever consider suicide?
I did, Mike. You know, when I was home from the hospital after 5 months, I remember laying in bed and I remember looking to the side of the table, the little end table or side table next to my bed. And I had to have 10, 15 bottles of medicine, from painkillers to anxiety to sleep medicine. I had it all. And there were nights when I said, what if I just took them all? And then the stubborn Irish Catholic firefighter in me said that if the bus wasn't enough, there's not enough on that table. And Mike, to be honest with you, after like 2 weeks at home, I dumped all the pills in the garbage. I had a really long weekend. I went through withdrawals of all the pain medicine I was on, but I haven't taken a pain pill in 19 years.
Seriously.
Advil only.
Because I remember in your incredible book, The Long Run, talking about those meds by the side of your bed, and in a lot of people's mind how easy that would be, because then, Matt, your pain would be gone, wouldn't it? I mean, it'd just be gone. But there had to be that. When I talk to people that have gone through tough situations, there was always that one theme in their life, that one thing out there that kept them going. What was that one thing? Was it your family? Was it a finish line? Was it the FDNY? What was that one thing that kind of got you up in the morning and says, all right, Matt Long, you stubborn friggin' Irishman, I can do this?
Well, I want to give it one thing with three buckets.
Okay.
And it was my family. But my family existed with three buckets. Obviously, mom, dad, all my brothers and sisters, my blood. Then the fire department. That's a family away from home.
Mm-hmm.
My firehouse, El Barrio's Bravest, Engine 5-3, Ladder 4-3, all the firehouses around the hospital that helped us. They brought food every day for 5 months. And then, Mike, there's a family that we're involved in, and that's the triathlon community. You know, it was one of the things that kept me in the sport after finishing my first triathlon, just to raise money, was the people that I met, the mindset of their training, the way they thought, the camaraderie, going out for drinks afterwards. You know, I was a blessed man to have the community that I had: fire department, family, and then obviously the triathlon endurance community. It's unmatched, Mike. It really is, and I know you're witness to that.
Well, Matt, you know, people like yourself and your buddy Larry Parker and others from New York. When I was with triathlon long before 1999, the first year of Lake Placid. But then when I started going to Placid and I saw the camaraderie and the family type atmosphere of the New York and that Northeast athlete, the tri-state area, I go, these people, this is their life outside of their real life. And I just thought that was so cool because, you know, in California, we'd go to races and we'd go home and we'd see each other at races. It was great, but it was different. And I saw that, and I understand what you're talking about and how that would help you, you know, get to that finish line of getting to Lake Placid. What was your fondest memory of that day? Besides, you know, one of the most beautiful people in the world, Heather Fuhr, 3-4-time champion of Placid, Ironman world champion, coming out to get you. I don't think she'd have come out for me or anybody else, but she was out there to get Matt Long.
You know, one of the best memories of the day, and I think you're friendly with him as well. So I remember when I got hurt, and then the comeback started. My one leg is 3/4 inch shorter than the other, just because of the way my pelvis is set. And I kept saying to myself, well, how am I going to, walk straight, but how am I going to run again? And I needed to find someone to help me. And I connected with Mike Rouse, who's an endurance junkie and triathlon guy. And he used to be with Zoot, I guess. He connected me with Aaron Acevedo. And we got on the phone, emails. I sent him measurements. I sent him everything. Next thing you know, he comes home from China, where they're in the Zoot factory, with two prototypes of a shoe for me. And it was unbelievable, right? So he mails them out to me, and I'm like, these are working great. Next time he went out, he sent me 2 more, and I rotated them through, and that's what I ran the Ironman in. I still have them. I still have the pair of shoes.
Oh, wow.
And so the moment, right around mile, let's call it 12 and a half, this guy, I'm by myself, and this guy says hello to me and says, can I run alongside you? A part of me in the head, the old school, was saying, well, then I'm going to get disqualified. Which I always would say about someone else helping. But I was like, I said, yeah, sure, come on. And he's like, I'm Aaron. I made your shoes. And then we just started talking, and next thing you know, he's like, you know, I had people back there, and he goes, I guess I'm running the last 13 with you. He ran the whole 13.1 miles with me, the whole second loop, and we just had a great time talking throughout the night. And there was times where I said, I'm going to be quiet right now because it's hurting a bit, and he just shuffled along next to me until Heather took control at the end and closed off the chute.
I love that. So, Matt, I've written something about every race. I mean, those are some of my original papers, and then I put it little diary. And so I pulled this out today, and I go, I got to find July 26th of 2009, and there it is. Ironman Lake Placid. I wrote best Lake Placid ever. Top 5 of all time. Huge crowds, probably because of Matt. Perfect weather and finish line. Beyond electric. Always fun with the Z-Barts. Oh my God, Matt Long finished. That's what I wrote after the race in 2000. I haven't read that in a while, and I'm glad I write those for each race. So me reading that today, I go saying, oh my God, Matt Long finished. I think Mike Riley thought maybe the good dude's got a 50-50 chance. I don't know. But I, like everybody else, was enamored with your finish. And my gosh, man, you've come a long way since that 2009 race. Writing the bestseller, as I said, The Long Run. And everybody, you've got to read this. Parts of it are difficult to read because I, like others, put myself in your shoes saying, could I have done that? Could I have gotten through that? I don't think so. So it was a great read. Married with 2 lovely daughters, motivational speaker, business person.
3 kids. We had to fix that.
3. I can't. That's right. I'm sorry. You got the little one. I keep forgetting. Tell her Uncle Mike's sorry. You pinch yourself sometimes? Like, wow.
Every day I put my feet on the ground, Mike. I still have some pity parties once in a while, but I don't let them win. But every day I put my feet on the ground. I'm blessed with the life I have, and I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change it at all. If I can go back to that morning, I'd have to have the bus hit me again because I wouldn't have what I have today.
Wow.
True.
And pity parties, do you think they're because, oh my gosh, I went sub 11:30 at an Ironman. Where's that guy at? Is that where they generate from? Where do they generate from?
Sometimes they generate just from the normal aches and pains or the early onset of arthritis that I'm having now. But most of the time they come from things like, I really miss running. In my head, I was in a place from 2005 to 2003 to 2005 when I got bit by the bug. I was in a place where if something wasn't right or if I needed some clarity, lace up your shoes, put on your shorts, and depending on the weather, shirt or no shirt, go out for a run, 30 minutes, 45 minutes with your thoughts. And I cleared things up. I never ran with music. I always just ran with the sounds around me and my own thoughts. And I really, really, really miss that. Every other aspect of that sport or any other modality, it takes effort. I got to go to the pool. All right, well, let me get my stuff. Let me get my bag. Let me get this. Let me make sure there's a clean lane.
Yeah.
Let me get my bike. I'll get the chamois butter on. Let's not forget that. Let's get a couple of bottles. Flat tire it. Damn. Running. It was just easy, and it was awesome stress reliever. I missed that so much.
Yeah, I heard a great adage years ago. As I go out the door, I am who I am. As I come back in the door, I'm better than who I am. It always was true. Every time I go out, and if it was for a 20-minute or an hour, whatever it was, you come back and go, all right, shit's not so bad. What was I? It's just not so bad.
Yeah.
So you are still hurting a bit and a little arthritis, and it's probably like you've never stopped healing, is it? Your body's always trying to get better, but there's things in your body saying, "Oh, guess what? You're not going to get better with this." Mentally, you're handling that okay?
Yeah, yes. Mentally, I think I'm pretty sound. I've tried different sports. I did some rowing, indoor rowing, and I've been able to adapt. I never looked at it myself as like, well, I could be better if this never happened to me. I'm doing the best I can. So mentally, I have no issues with what has happened to me. and what I'm able to accomplish nowadays, right? I have no problem with that. It is what it is. I can always fall back on the excuse that I was hit by a bus. What's your excuse? You beat me in pickleball. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
But going back, Mike, when I was talking about running, right? Now we've been in touch since, whether it's monthly or every 6 months, but we've maintained a friendship. And you remember in 2012, Superstorm Sandy. I know we're dealing with it in California right now with these crazy fires, and God bless all those people. Superstorm Sandy, everything that I own went up in flames. And my wife and I were living with the kids in a small 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn with donated clothes and all this stuff. And I was getting a little, she could tell that I wasn't right. Like I was testy and there was issues. She's like, she said to me, what do you need? I said, well, you know what I need? I said, I need a pair of sneakers and 2 legs that I can go out for a 13-mile run and clear my head. But I can't do that. She goes, that's right, you can't. So what's next? I said, 2 of my bikes melted away, burnt to a crisp. So I said, I need a bike. And she goes, then buy a bike. And I said, how can I buy a bike when we're wearing donated clothes? She goes, if it means to clear your mental head and make things better here so you can find a path for us, go buy a bike. So I went to a bike store. I bought a generic size bike that would fit me, some shoes and an outfit, and boom, off I went for a couple of rides. And 2 or 3 days later, we're back, and now things are starting to get focused. So that's what the beautiful thing about running and cycling and just keeping yourself fit and active, what it does for up here.
Matt, I gosh, when you said that, I remember the picture you sent me of the burnt bikes.
Yep.
It was just, I go, oh, because I've been around wildfires here in Southern California and people losing their homes, and it's devastating. But for some reason, when I saw the picture of those bikes, I, like you, knew that, well, I won't have that release anymore. I need, you need that release. You need that getaway thing, whether it's obviously running or out on the bike. Mm-hmm. So you go out and you speak, sought after motivational speaker. You talk to your audiences, you're telling your story. We talked about before where you got on the air many times. We tell our stories. And what do you want your audience to walk away with from listening to Matt Long? Obviously, your story is emotional. It's incredible. But there has to be something you want them to walk away with. Not, oh, Matt Long's this, God, he went through hell and look at him. He's a strong dude. And I wish I was like him. But that message you want them to walk away with, that they'll go and create a better life for themselves. What is that?
Mike, the one thing, and there's many little things that I would like people to take from my speech. And I do just tell my story with a little bit of humor, and I know I'm going to make them cry and going to make them laugh. But the one thing I really would like them all to take away from it is that we all face adversity. Okay, we all face it. Okay, you're not going to have the bust that Matt Long had, and it may be something else. It could be an illness, or it just could be mental. We all have it. And what I want them to come away with, Mike, is that we don't overcome the adversity. I want them to embrace it, accept it, go through it, and challenge it. Because when I was hurt, I didn't start making a comeback until I said to myself every morning, okay, all right, I was hit by a bus. This is my body now. What am I going to do? Am I going to sit down here on the couch and just, feel sorry for myself? Or am I going to get up and make this body work the best I can? And that's what I hope that these people will take from when you hear me speak, please take away from the fact that, hey, we're all going to have adversity. We're not going to get to the same finish line at the same time. But if you accept your adversity, things are going to start to go your way. If you had a bad accident and you're angry, constantly angry, or if you were dealt a bad hand because you got sick, cancer or something like that, and you're angry that happened, you're going to have really, really bad time getting to where you want to go. Mm.
Being able to speak, Matt, is that still part of your healing process? Does that help?
100%. I love telling my story, but what I love more is afterwards. when I'm contacted. Every day, every speech I give my email. Sometimes I give out my phone number, and I'm like, if you didn't want to raise your hand today, and adults are like that. They're just like kids. They just don't want to raise their hand amongst their peers and say, ask a question that might put them out. And they'll call me or they'll email me later on. And if I can connect with a couple of people, Mike, that makes me feel so good. It makes everything just worth it.
Yeah, because, it's amazing to be able to speak to audiences, Matt. Sometimes the message can be a real small one, but it affects their life at that time. It's all about timing a lot of times. Affects their life at that time and on that day, because prior weeks or so they've gone through and that's the best part about it, because sometimes it doesn't have to be the big, huge message. It's a small little thing that sometimes takes people a long way down the road in a better place. I don't know if you're going to write another book. We haven't talked about this, but if you did, because obviously writing the long run, your story, but if you wrote book number 2, how would that theme be different? How would you write it differently? I don't even know if you thought about this. I just thought, right?
I actually get asked all the time, and because people want to know how it ended. The book itself morphed into a story more about me and my character. Yes, and some people could say it was, I was just a cocky, overconfident kid from Brooklyn, and I'll agree, I was. But that's who I am. That's what made me, and running around Manhattan as a bar owner, firefighter, chasing women, that's just how I was. And I think if I did write a sequel to The Long Run, I would focus more on the quest to Ironman. Ironman is just like in the epilogue here, in which we just talk about finishing and our night, but I don't talk about what it took me to get there as much detail. And then I would talk about my relationships with my doctors, the first responders that saved me. And I would also talk about my life now with my wife and my 3 kids. See, that might get me in trouble. My 3 kids.
I should make that mistake. You shouldn't make that mistake.
Oops. We'll edit that out. Thank you. No, I would talk about how life ended up for me, because I would want someone who possibly is struggling to know that it wasn't just that finish line, and then I lived the rest of my life in pain and unable to do things. I'm doing things, Mike. I went on to after Ironman, I tried to become a cyclist.
Yeah.
I got hit by a Buick in Florida, broke my arm, so that stopped. And then after that, I became an indoor rowing competitor. And I have 6 world records in indoor rowing.
I know that was an amazing journey watching you on that. It's like you get so many miles, you could have gone up and down the Mississippi a few times. I mean, it was just amazing to me. I go, that dude is rowing.
I rode a marathon, Mike. I rode a full marathon. 3 hours and 24 minutes. And
that's what you did it in 3:24.
3:24. I rode a full marathon, and here's my stupid triathlon mentality. I'm like, okay, I had to get my Hammer nutrition. I got my bottles lined up. I got everything next to my rower. I was doing it in my backyard, and I said, wait a second, I can't do it back here because I'm not going to see anyone, and I'm going to be on here for a long time. So I moved it out to the front of my house. My wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, when people walk to the beach, I'll say hello. I'm like, okay. So I'm start rowing, and now I'm looking at my stuff. It's not like you're on a bike where you can just coast, reach down to the cage, pick up a water bottle. I'm like, how am I going to drink this? And you only have like 90 seconds or 30 seconds, and once you stop rowing, the monitor goes off. So I was in pain. I was in so much pain. And I'm looking at that nutrition, and I wanted it so bad, and I'm like, this is awful. Not thought through.
Well, yeah, you could have hired somebody to feed it to you, for goodness sakes. Being a father is not an easy task, but it's the greatest job we'll ever have. What do you want your daughters to learn from Dad?
Oh, wow. There's so many little lessons I would love them to pick up from me, but as it pertains to this story is that, life is going to throw you hard things, and if you meet them head on and don't run away from your challenges, that you'll be as successful as dad. And that I think is important. You know, Mike, I could have cashed it in, and no one would have blamed me. I'd be sitting in a wheelchair still today. He got run over by a bus, but I didn't want that life. I faced my challenges head on, and I came through the other side a better person. I believe. I'm still cocky and confident, but I came a better person.
Yeah, I wouldn't love you any other way. Do you see any of those qualities in the kids? Do you see how they're pushing through some things and go, wow, her action there was pretty strong?
I do. My two older daughters, I do. I definitely them. I think the younger one is starting to understand what I went through and all the things when we go through stories. And sometimes she tells me enough about the bus. So I told them I'm going to be on Mike Riley's podcast, and she's like, "Oh, you're still telling that story?" The older one said hello, and the young one said, "You're still telling that story?" I'm like, "Yes, I am, Charlie." But yeah, I do see it in them. I do believe that they're strong young women, and my 12-year-old, I think she'll grow into be one too.
Mm. Boy, that was pretty cool too. Then, how long ago was it that Sylvester Stallone had you as one of the comeback stories of his feature he did? How long ago was that? I listened to that a little while ago.
That was 2021 is when he put that out.
Put it out, okay.
Maybe 22. We did it in 21. The first season was 22, and I heard he's gonna give that a rebirth, try to bring that back for 2025. Yeah. Good.
Do you still have a strong relationship with the FDNY?
I do. My brothers, both firefighters. My brother Jim, my older brother, my younger brothers, and then my baby brother Eddie. He's a lieutenant now, so I have family there. And when I go back to New York, I make a trip to my firehouse. They named the gym after me after my accident, and I like to go back, even though I didn't work with any of these guys. I like to go back and make sure they keep that gym named after me. So I go back and buy them dinner once in a while.
But isn't it amazing, because of the firefighters I do know, whether you worked with them or not, that brotherhood is so strong. It doesn't make any difference. You could have somebody in there that's a son or daughter of a firefighter you worked with, and
Correct.
It's like they're your kids.
Correct.
It's just amazing to me. I just love that.
Are
you still involved? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I'll tell you a quick funny story. So when I got hit by the Buick in Florida,
the Buick,
right, it's hysterical. So me and another guy got hit right in front of a bar on Gulf Boulevard in Indian Rocks Beach. The bar was called Krabby Bill's. And we had just gotten there and went out for like a 30, 40-mile ride. And it was like 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. So I get hit by the Buick. We're down. Gulf Boulevard shuts down. The fire department comes, and the bar empties out to see what's going on. So I'm wrapped up, taped down to the Stokes basket, and I'm trying to talk to the firefighter who's taking care of me. I say, hey, I'm not from here. I said, but I'm a firefighter in New York. I said, can you just do me a favor? Wherever you take us where you would go. So he goes, no problem. Now I have a brotherhood connection, right? So he looks up into the crowd, and now I can't move my head. And he goes, hey, you're a fireman? And the guy yells from the crowd, yeah, I'm a fireman. He goes, so is this guy in the street. He goes, what's your name? So I tell him my name, Matt Long. And he yells to the fireman, Matt Long. And all I hear from the crowd is, again? Holy shit.
You're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know anyone in Florida that, So I'm in the emergency room in the hospital, and 7 drunk firemen I never met, never worked with. They said, we had to come and see it. Are you okay? And I'm like, what's going on? This is a hospital. You guys better go back to Krabby Bill's.
Oh gosh, I love that story. So we do have a lot of, we just came through the holidays. We're coming into 2025. People are setting those calendars, but a lot of age groupers, go through struggles and injuries and health and mental challenges. And our sport it's a demanding sport. You can't fake it. You don't fake triathlon. You don't fake running. You really can't fake that kind of stuff, but especially triathlon. What advice would you get them on setting those goals and getting to their finish lines?
Wow. So someone who hasn't done one and is going to, take that journey, be patient. Be patient with yourself. I always like the advice I got from my first Ironman from Frank Carino. He said, listen, and he's done multiple, went to Hawaii. He's one of my guys who motivated me to do it. And he said, Matt, your first Ironman, he goes, just complete it. Don't compete. Don't compete. Just complete. So I was like, wow. And I had so much fun, Mike. And I still talk to some of my friends that I did them with that day, and they go, we can't believe it. You were smiling the whole way, and you went 11:18. What were you doing? I go, I was having fun. I go, I wasn't competing at all. I didn't care how I finished, where I finished. I was just moving, and I was light on my feet. I mean, did it hurt? Of course it hurt, but I had that mentality. It's like, hey, this is just to complete. This is a completion year. Next year we'll come back and refocus. So I would tell people to be patient. And if you do get hurt, take care of the body. That's one thing I think endurance sports, triathletes get too consumed in the head with, oh, I can't be hurt. I can't be hurt. Ironman's in 3 months. Because it is an annual kind of thing. If you sign up for Lake Placid and you don't go, you're deferring for another year. And that's a lot of torture you're putting yourself through. But go through it healthy. So be patient and listen to your body.
Good advice. There's so many athletes that we had a race and they're injured. And I go, what happened? I got hurt a month ago. Now I don't know what I'm going to do. It's almost like they're walking around lost because that race is gone. I go, there is another one coming in your future. Don't worry. There will be another race in your future. Like you said, you just have to be patient. Mm-hmm. Matt, if somebody does want to hire you or contact you to speak at their group or corporation or wherever, how do they get a hold of Matt Long?
I guess my website, mattlongspeaker.com. And my email is mattlongspeaker@gmail.com. I'm active on LinkedIn with my posts for speaking engagements and stuff. So I get contacted through LinkedIn quite a bit, Matthew Long. And I appreciate that. If anyone reaches out, I appreciate it very much.
And you take care of that yourself, don't you?
I do. I used to be with an agent for a while, and I kind of put the speaking on the side burner, got into a fitness business. I opened some Orange Theory fitnesses. So I had a nice business going for a while, and then kind of cashed out of all that and said, let's see if people still want to hear me talk.
So my last question on Find Your Finish Line, we talked about, it comes from table racing. Table racing comes out of the Baja 1000 race that a lot of my buddies have trophy trucks and they've won it. And I've sat second seat in the 1000, which is a harrowing experience. But they get together after the race and they call it table racing, where they reminisce about the race or a race in the past. So I call this table racing. Reminisce with us something at an event that happened. Whether it doesn't have to be Lake Placid or whatever, that just comes to your mind. Like, wow, I remember that.
I would have to say it's my first half Ironman. Well, not my first half Ironman, I'm sorry. So I did a half Ironman non-branded up in Rhode Island called the Firm Man.
What was it called?
Firm Man.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was a little independent race up in Narragansett, Rhode Island. And my college roommate, who was very good at triathlon, the shorter distance, phenomenal swimmer in college. And, he had invited me to come up with his group and do it. And I had just finished Ironman Lake Placid, so I was in shape. And I remember racing. So it was my fastest one. I wound up going 4:51. So I was very happy. I ran a 1:30 and I was chasing this one guy down, a friend. It wasn't a competitive thing, but I just wanted to catch him. And
yeah. Wait. It wasn't a competitive thing. Okay, let's get that clear, everybody.
Yeah. Wait. It wasn't a bad competitive thing. Okay. I wanted to get as close to this guy as possible, and I wanted him to know I was there. And the last 500 yards was in the sand.
Oh,
the soft sand. And I saw him jump off the cement and into the sand. And I was like, oh, this is going to be phenomenal. But I didn't realize I had to jump off the cement and get in the sand. And it was heavy running. I never caught him. I told him the whole way. I thanked him for pulling me as fast as I went. But I was like, oh, Mike Farrell, his name was. Great guy. Fast, strong. He obviously beat me by 30 seconds or so. But that was just great. After that race was great. We went out in Rhode Island, and doing it with my college roommate was awesome. So those memories never go away.
See, that's what some of the things as a dad and mentor, you hope you can pass on to others, to have those experiences where that's with you for the rest of your life, Matt. And when you talk about it, you laugh, and it makes all the good stuff inside percolate up to the top. So that's what's great about this sport. Matt Long, you continue to inspire. You are an amazing human, and it's my honor to be able to call you a friend. So thank you very much for your time today. And everybody, if you want Matt for speaking, he left it on here. Contact him. He will wow you and make sure all your people in that audience are going to walk away better. Matt Long, thanks to you. Thank you very much.
Mike, thanks for having me, pal. Really appreciate it.
You got it. And tell the family I said hello. And I'll never forget the dinner we went out in New York together at the Italian. That was one of the days. Yeah. And it's where Tom Selleck always goes to eat, right?
Yeah.
See, I remember that. Yeah.
My daughter said to me, wow, Mike Riley, I haven't seen him since Elio's. And I was like, I forgot about that.
We got to have a return visit one day when you're up there.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Or we just go to the crab place in Florida.
Krabby Bills.
Krabby Bills. Thank you again, Matt Long, and thank you everyone for tuning in to Find Your Finish Line. Remember, you're the cause of your own experience. If you keep those experiences in your life positive, your comebacks positive, and all your attitude, things you can control, you'll find your finish line. My warmest aloha, everybody. Have a great week.